or another. Which one is sattva guna of these three? A mirror covered by dust. And therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto darpana marjanam. You can clean a mirror if it's only covered by dust. So that means at least you have to come to this platform of sattva guna that we've been describing the previous nights in order to qualify as a scripturally correct human being, in addition to being a biologically correct human being, because humanity is actually defined by dharma. What do we hear from Hitopadesh? Dharmasya hina pashubhi samana. We're equal to the animals when we don't have dharma. So dharma is, in general, you can say it means shreyas or sattva guna. We have to have that. That is the baseline requirement for Krishna consciousness. There is no such thing as Krishna consciousness without dharma. This is a very, very important point. And as Prabhupada, we read in his books, page after page after page, only human beings can become Krishna conscious, not animals, except in rare exceptions, because anything is possible for the Supreme Lord. But in terms of general rules, this is true. It is absolutely necessary to understand these things. That's why we're dilating on this topic of the modes of material nature, because until we come to sattva guna, it will be very difficult to penetrate the mysteries of Krishna consciousness. It will be very difficult to apply them in a consistent and mature manner, using our best intelligence. Now, speaking of using our intelligence, that's the topic of the next trio, the dhriti in the three modes of material nature. But first, let's finish this idea here. We consider, tamasic buddhi considers that irreligion is religion and religion is irreligion. It's striving always in the wrong direction, Baladev Bhushan says. So, does anybody have any questions on any of this so far? We've been talking about buddhi. Let me read what Prabhupada says. Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working in the opposite of the way it should. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man, and accept a common man as a great soul. How do you say great soul in Sanskrit? Have you heard this word before? Yes, we have. No further comment is necessary. Okay, they think truth to be untruth, and they accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of darkness. The other night I quoted T.S. Eliot. He wrote very nicely in one of his famous poems called The Four Quartet. He wrote, what is it? From wrong to wrong, the exasperated spirit proceeds, until redeemed by some refining fire. And he's describing the mode of ignorance. We just keep out of the frying pan and into the fire, they say. This is what a person in the mode of ignorance does. You cannot help such persons. You cannot help them. We always want to feel compassion for others, but you cannot help someone whose fate is otherwise. Someone who's too deeply sunk, his trajectory is preset by the conditioning of the modes that his karma has chosen for him. And so he can hardly be elevated. Of course, that's by ordinary means. When we consider Krishna consciousness, anybody who is willing to adopt the practices can be elevated. So it's not very powerful. Krishna consciousness is actually the most powerful thing. Okay, so we're finishing this first topic here, buddhi, in the three modes of material nature. No questions about this so far? Okay, so we'll go on to dhriti. What does dhriti mean? Determination. Text number 33. Dhrityaya ya dharyate manah pranendriya kriyaha yogena vyabhicharaniya dhriti sa partha sattviki. O son of Pratha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. Now, what in the world does all that mean? Let's discuss this. Determination, trityaya dharyate manah pranendriya kriyaha. One's activities utilizing the senses. Prana. Prana is a difficult thing to translate. Prabhupada necessarily translates prana as life. We can say that, but actually prana is what sustains life within the body. There are different pranas or life airs that circulate throughout the body. They all have slightly different functions. And the yogi is someone whose determination is in sattva guna, consciously employs these things. There are 3 things mentioned here. What 3 things is this person engaging? We just mentioned them. I put up my fingers for each one of them. The mind, the prana, and the senses. Yes. So we can engage our senses for the most part. That much we're in touch with. Our minds, that's a little bit more difficult because it's more subtle. The prana is even more subtle than that. Actually, my doctor told me, when you die, there are some elements of prana that remain in your body even after you're considered to be clinically dead. Anyway, it's a subtle subject matter. But the point to be appreciated here is that the yogi is very conscious and he connects them all. Yoga. Yoga means what? We mentioned this the other night. To link or to connect. To union. To union with what or whom? With the Supreme. This is what Baladev Bhushan says here. He concentrates his mind, his pranas, and his senses only on the Paramatma, and he has no other subject of concentration. In other words, we're talking about Krishna consciousness. It's a fancy way of saying it. Just like in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he gives a whole list of all the ways that you can discipline yourself to follow yoga. Since we're talking about Avyabhicharini yoga here, that's very helpful. But at the end of his list, does anybody know? I think it's sutra number 47, maybe 49. Nobody here studies Patanjali's Yoga Sutras in their spare time. It's not light reading. And it's in Sanskrit anyways. He says, Ishvara pranidhanadva. Or, if you want, you can just focus on Ishvara. This is what he says. So this is the whole idea. All these yogas, we have so many yoga processes, we have so many philosophical processes, Sankhya, we have 6 darshans. But actually, the easy thing is to just fix your senses and your mind and eventually your pranas as well on God. And how do we do that, especially in the age of Kali? Easy thing, anybody can do. We chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. But do you fix your mind on the chanting? Do you fix your pranas in this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Do you fix all your senses in the Hare Krishna mantra? Oh, so we've got some work to do, see? It's not that easy. Yoga Vyabhicharini. Unwavering yoga, he says here. This is the challenge. And somebody who can do this has determination in the mode of sattva guna. Not so easy thing to do. Okay, what else does he say here? Srila Prabhupada writes, Yoga is a means to understand the Supreme Soul. Does that sound like a paraphrase of what we just heard from Baladev Bhushan? What is the Supreme Soul in Sanskrit? Param Atma, yes, okay. One who is steadily fixed in the Supreme Soul with determination. Steadily fixed in the Supreme Soul. Does that sound like another translation of something we've just described? Of Vyabhicharini Yoga, exactly. Concentrating one's mind, life, and sensory activities on the Supreme engages in Krishna consciousness. That sort of determination is in the mode of goodness. The word Avyabhicharaniya is very significant, for it indicates that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity. This is also paraphrasing. Baladev Vidyabhushan, I also mentioned, he does not, there's no other subject matter of his concentration Yes, he doesn't have any other vishaya, he says. Nothing else. He fixes his mind or his pranas or his senses. Okay, so that is sattvic determination. Now, yatatu dharma kamarthan dhritya dharyeterjana prasangena phalakankshi dhriti sa partha rajasi. On the other hand, that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. Purport: any person who is always desirous of fruitive activities in religious or economic activities, whose only desire is sense gratification, and whose mind, life, and senses are thus engaged, is in the mode of passion. So how are we engaging our mind, life, and senses? Are you conscious of it? Are we in control of it, even? You can't be control of anything unless you're conscious of it first. Tamal Krishna Goswami used to say this very, very cogently. He said, before you can become Krishna conscious, you first have to become conscious. So to be conscious is to be in which mode? We read this 2 or 3 nights ago. Does anybody remember? The nature of the mode of goodness is increased awareness. And I'd like to point out this word jnana. For convenience sake, we always translate jnana as knowledge. But in fact, jnana means awareness, to be aware, to be conscious. This is a very important point. That's why it looks to be, we're talking about these at least 6 topics, 6 or 7 topics here in chapter 18 within the 3 modes. And 2 of them seem to be, without this understanding, 2 of them seem to be pretty much the same thing. Jnana and buddhi, what's the difference? Here's the difference. Your consciousness is one thing, your buddhi is another thing altogether. Just like in Sanskrit land, which is to say, Shastra Chakshusha, by a shastric analysis, there's a difference between the mind and the intelligence. Most people, at least in the English language, there's not really any distinction made. But it's a very, very important distinction. What is the distinction between the mind and the intelligence? Harivilas Prabhu knows. The mind is a toggle switch. It only does 2 things. What are they? Sankalpa, vikalpa. I want it, I don't want it. This is all the mind can do. Everything else is supplied, exactly all the reasons to do it or not do it, all the plans how to do it or how not to do it. That all comes from where? Buddhi. So your awareness is your mental state, we can say, at least that's one aspect. And then your discrimination about how to do something is also applied by the intelligence, so it's different. All right, anyway, I don't want to take too long with that. The point is here that this person holds with determination, dhritya dharyate. With his determination, he's going for what? Yeah, he's palakankshi. He's hankering after the results all the time. And he wants results in which of the 3 categories? Dharma, artha, kama. What happened to the 4th one? He's not concerned because he's passionate. Therefore, he stays in the material world, which is what Krishna said back in chapter 14. Those who die in the mode of passion, where do they go? They stay here. This is the passionate place, this middle world. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasaha, jaghanya guna vrittastha, adho gachanti tamasaha. Those in the sattva guna go up to the higher planets or maybe even out into the spiritual world. Those in the mode of passion, they remain here. Horizontal progress, I said the other day. And those who are in the mode of ignorance, they go down. They go to hell or they become animals or something, but it's not auspicious. So, these are Krishna's words. So he's not even interested in liberation, and in fact, he's only interested in religion because what happens when you engage in dharma? You get artha, you get facility, just like we read. so many stotras are there. They say that somebody who reads this stotra, on a Sunday or on the full moon or on Ekadashi, this person, he gets this and this and that. They're not exactly exaggerations, or we call this arthavad. They're not meant to just fool you into doing something that's not true. You actually do get those things. But somebody who's motivated to do his dharma only because of the artha, that's passionate. And why does he want artha? What is the point of artha? Can you eat money? No. Does it feel good when you touch it? No. Can you hear it like nice music? No. What is the use of money then? Kama. We all know money secures your desires. It fulfills your desires. So this is passion. And once again, in a word, we can understand passion. Passion means strong desire and necessarily fruitive activity, frenetic activity. This was all discussed in chapter 14. I won't reiterate. So, Baladev Vidyabhushan here adds, it is through bad association that one strives for only dharma, artha, and kama. And he really wants the results. He's palakangshi, and he uses his mind only for kama, which necessitates artha, which requires artha, which necessitates dharma. He uses his mind for this purpose. His whole prana is invested in this project of fulfilling desires, and his indriyas as well. Just like if you want to be very, very successful in the material world, you have to invest yourself like this. You have to be completely in samadhi. Samadhi, what does samadhi mean? Everything fixed on one point. And when you're in the mode of passion, everything is fixed on your kama, what it is you want, what your goal is. And what does that do? It takes you to hell. If not hell, Srila Prabhupada is so great. One time in London, somebody asked a question, Srila Prabhupada, does Krishna ever speak Bhagavad Gita even on the hellish planets? And Prabhupada didn't stop even for a moment. He said, yes. He said, this London is like hell, and we're speaking Bhagavad Gita here. So actually this world is hellish when we're absorbed in too much sense gratification, because the reactions come. Whether we go to hell or not, it doesn't really make a difference. You have to pay if you try to take sense gratification. Yo punkte stena evasa, Krishna told us in chapter 3. A person who lives a life that is not based on sacrifice or not based on prescribed duty, whose only purpose in life is to enjoy kama, that person suffers. We'll read about that. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but the idea is that this is passion. Now, Srila Prabhupada writes, any person who is always desirous of fruitive results in religious or economic activities, whose only desire is sense gratification, and whose mind, life, and senses are thus engaged, is in the mode of passion. Text 35. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vijadam madameva cha navimunchiti durmedha dhriti sa partha tamasi. Very nice verse, this one, very instructive. We see, I mentioned this a couple of times already, whenever Krishna talks about demoniac life, or whenever he talks about the mode of ignorance, in this passage that we've been reading for the last several days, he seems to emphasize, he gives more content in the mode of ignorance, as if it's the more relevant thing that we have to hear about. So he's mentioning, 6 or 7 things here, it looks like. Okay, so first of all, swapna. What does swapna mean? Dreaming, Prabhupada says. Our acharyas have given a slightly different interpretation. Baladev Vidyabhushan says that swapna means nidra, sleep. So that's also applicable, because you don't dream unless you're asleep. Of course, there's daydreaming. All right, so bhaya means when you capitulate to fear, that when you fall, when you become overwhelmed by fear, that's also tamasic. That's also tamasic. Intelligence, which is swayed by fear, is tamasic. Shokam means when you're overwhelmed by suffering. And this is an easy thing to be overwhelmed by, suffering. Suffering can be very intense. Even Chanakya Pandit said, even a wise man who is too much in bad association becomes overwhelmed by their suffering. Even a wise man. We have to be careful. Vishadam. What does Vishadam mean? That's the result of becoming overwhelmed by dukkha. You become depressed, we say in English. This is the common word. Depression, Vishadam. Madamevacha. Baladev Vidyabhushan has given a nice gloss for this as well. He says, Mada equals Vishaya Bhoga Jo Gardava. That pride which arises when you're absorbed in sense gratification. When everything is going great, we become proud. This is the problem. And generally we feel everything is going great when our senses are satisfied, because we're all on the Annamaya platform by default. If you do nothing to elevate yourself beyond it, you stay there your whole life. Annamaya realization. What does that mean? You appreciate the gross things. Gross sense gratification. And this is, of course, what we have in common with the animals. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha. When these things are all nice for us, then we become very proud, and somebody comes and suggests that, sir, you're going to die one day. Perhaps you should invest some of your attention in cultivating a higher consciousness. And get out, I don't have time for this stuff. You see? Therefore, he says, this is the definition of mada. You're proud through too much sense gratification. Okay, so that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion. This is the other one. And such unintelligent determination, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of darkness. Now, Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he says something new, would seem to, as if to explain why he differs from Baladev Vidyabhushan here. He says, it should not be concluded that a person in the mode of goodness does not dream. Here, dream means too much sleep. So it means both dreaming and sleep, it would seem to me, from what he's written here. Dreaming is always present, either in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Dreaming is a natural occurrence. But those who cannot avoid oversleeping, who cannot avoid the pride of enjoying material objects. Does that sound familiar? What did he glosses this as Vishaya Bhoga Jo Gardava. This is Baladev Vidyabhushan. And who is always dreaming of lording it over the material world, and whose life, mind, and senses are thus engaged, is considered to have determination in the mode of ignorance. In other words, he doesn't really have determination. He doesn't really have much determination. Practically speaking, he doesn't. Okay, what else do we have to say about this? Any questions so far? This is the second. Yeah, you have.
Are you saying that the person in the mode of ignorance is determined to be depressed and sad and lamenting? It just feels so surprising because nobody is determined to be like that, they end up being like that. It just feels like nobody seems to be determined to be depressed or sad. They end up...
No, we all have, the way that Krishna is looking at here is that we all have some determination, but that determination is very much obstructed by these things. When we get sorrowful, when we get depressed, when we get overwhelmed by fear, etc., then our determination becomes very less. That's how I read it. Yeah. It's not that we're determined to be lazy, that we're determined to be depressed. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, we'll go on then to the next third. This concludes our discussion of dhriti, or determination, in the three modes. Then Krishna talks about three types of happiness, and he introduces these with one shloka. He says, Sukham tvidanim trividham, shrino me bharatarshibha, abhyasad ramate yatra dukhantam nigachati. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys, and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. I don't know where it is, but unless it's a class, it's probably good to stop it. Okay, so Baladev Vidyabhushan says here about this verse that the first half of the verse is an introduction. The second half of the verse, beginning with abhyasat, through practice, he actually begins discussing the happiness in the mode of goodness. So we have 1.5 verses here on happiness in the mode of goodness. So let's just go on to the next verse. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname amritopamam tatsukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Another very beautiful verse. What does it mean? That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. So, Baladev Vidyabhushan says, in commenting on this verse and a half, he says that there are certain characteristics of happiness that is in the mode of sattva guna. First of all, it's like poison in the beginning and it's like nectar in the end. What does that mean? Why is happiness, sattvik sukha, like poison in the beginning and like nectar in the end? Why? What does it mean? Because in the beginning you have to discipline your senses. It doesn't come automatically. Unlike sense gratification. When you engage in sense gratification, the happiness is instant. That's why we call it preyas rather than shreyas. Just like when you're a little kid, ice cream. Ice cream is preyas, instant gratification. And there's no kid on the earth who doesn't like ice cream. But if they eat too much of it, then it turns into poison. You see? Or as Krishna said previously, dukkha shoka amayam prada. It leads to disease if you don't eat properly. That's another matter. We've already discussed that. But happiness in the mode of goodness is like poison in the beginning because, as Naveen Krishna Prabhu said, it involves tapas. And what does tapas mean? Tapa? Austerity. Literally, what does it mean?
Accepting some difficulties.
Think literally. Suryas tapati madbhayat. To burn. Dahana. Tapa actually means to burn. When you engage in austerity, it burns. It's not nice. It's painful. This is the point. So therefore it's like poison in the beginning. But this kind of burning is very productive because amritopamam, it becomes just like nectar in the end. And what is that nectar? You become freed from suffering for good. Dukhantam. This is the point. This is why Baladev takes it that the last half of the last verse, abhyasad ramate yatra dukhantam janigachati. This is what he's saying. It begins with tapasya. You have to discipline yourself. You have to give up certain things. You have to regulate your senses. You have to rise early. You have to associate with saintly persons. All the things that we do in Krishna consciousness. It's not easy in the beginning. It can be very intimidating even. But if we take the trouble and if we have sattvic determination and we apply our mind and our pranas and our senses, then we gradually realize amrita, amrita. And that amrita is liberation. Samadhi, he says. It's very good. So, abhyasad ramate yatra. It's by practice this thing comes. It doesn't happen automatically. Ice cream, you're pleased automatically and instantly. It's not that you have to eat ice cream again and again and again before you begin to taste its nice effects, right? Every child knows this. But Krishna consciousness is like that. You have to keep taking it. Rupa Goswami gives this very nice analogy, just like when you have jaundice. Anybody here ever had jaundice? Jaundice, that's some kind of hepatitis, low level. My wife had jaundice. They turn yellow when you have jaundice. And Rupa Goswami says, when you have jaundice, what is the last thing that you want to eat? Ice cream. Because if you eat ice cream when you've got jaundice, what does it taste like? Kerala. You might even say, if you can imagine, Kerala pickle. Something really, really intense. You see? So we all have jaundice. That's why we take birth here. We've got the jaundice of what? Avidya. Avidya. Nonetheless, when we take sweet things when we have jaundice, anybody who's done this knows, hote hote, it becomes sweet, and you eventually become cured. This is how it works. So, abhyasad ramate, and dukhantam chanagachati. You get the end of all suffering by undergoing this austerity. That is the nature of sattvic happiness. Okay. Now, Srila Prabhupada says, in the course of our material lives, we become relieved from material entanglement by association with a great soul, sadhu sangha. In other words, a conditioned soul is always engaged in some type of sense gratification, but when he understands by good association that it is only a repetition of the same thing, he is awakened to his real Krishna consciousness, and he is sometimes relieved from such repetitive so-called happiness. Now, we can take note here that, according to Prabhupada's purport, how do we come about associating with or attaining sattvic sukha, real happiness that is like nectar and which lasts forever and ends all misery? By good association. In exactly the same way, those of you who are listening carefully, you may have noted, how do we come into this rajasic attachment? Through bad association. Baladev Devushan mentioned that. That's something to take note of. Text 37, and then we're almost done. Yattaragre vishameva pariname amritopamam tatsukham sattvikam. Okay, we've read this already, sorry. So text 38. Vishayendriya sanyogat yattad agre amritopamam pariname vishameva tatsukham rajasam smritam. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of, you can guess, passion. Yes. What do we have? A nice word for these things in English. Pernicious. Pernicious. The word pernicious means it's very attractive and it looks very good also. They have a saying in English, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. In other words, it's not true. So this is, passionate happiness is pernicious. A young man and a young woman meet, and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her, and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end, or after some time, it becomes just like poison. Shall I dilate on the details? We all know. Crimes of passion, that's just one result. Divorce, that's another result, right? Infidelity, that's a third result. So many things. Okay. Then they are separated, or there is divorce, there is lamentation, there is sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and the sense objects is always a cause of distress, and should be avoided by all means. That's a very strong statement. So Baladev Devushan mentions here also about rajasic happiness, particularly this nectar. What is the nectar that we're talking about which turns into poison? Sense gratification in general, but particularly sensual enjoyment, passion, especially male-female enjoyment. Nowadays they're so passionate that it doesn't even have to be the opposite sex anymore. Okay, so, and what is that poison? The dukkha, or niraya, he says. What does niraya mean? You have to go to hell. You pay for it one way or the other. That's called the play now, pay later plan. That is happiness in the mode of passion. It always leads to distress. This is the formula. If you want to remember a pithy little formula, the natural result of Passionate happiness is suffering. Period. Always. This is an axiom. Okay. Text 39. Yadagre chanu banthecha sukham mohanam atmanaha nidralasya pramarotham tat tamasam udahritam. That happiness which is blind to self-realization and which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. Purport: one who takes pleasure in laziness and in sleep is certainly in the mode of darkness, ignorance. And one who has no idea how to act and how not to act is also in the mode of ignorance. We've already read this, haven't we? For the person in the mode of ignorance, everything is illusion. There's no happiness either in the beginning or at the end. In other words, he's fully bewildered every step of the way, as we already read. He's constantly striving in the wrong direction. That's the worker in the mode of passion, or the determination in the mode of passion. So, it goes from illusion to illusion. It bewilders the Atma. It arises from sleep, laziness, and neglect of what is to be done and what is not to be done. That's Baladev Vidyabhushan's definition of pramada. The word pramada here is mentioned. So what does pramada mean? He doesn't distinguish between what should be done and what should not be done. Why does he not distinguish? Because he's neglectful. He may know, but he's neglectful. You see? And then what else does he say? Alasya. Alasya means you're perfectly capable of working, but you make no endeavor. That is laziness. Okay? There's a story about this. Anyway, enough to said here. For the person who is in the mode of passion, there might be some kind of ephemeral happiness in the beginning and at the end distress, but for the person in the mode of ignorance, there's only distress, both in the beginning and at the end. Just like Punjabis, any Punjabi knows. Nowadays in Punjab, it must be half of the population below the age of 30 is addicted to drugs. That is misery in the beginning and misery later on, both. Because immediately it ruins your life, and in the long run, you're dead. You see? That is tamasic happiness. So, all right. I'm going to stop here. There's more that can be said, but it's late already. So, and we're going to resume Ajamila Prabhu's Adbhuta Sankirtana. So, does anybody have any questions or any comments on any of this? Yes.
You mentioned Manu Samhita a couple of times. So my question is that does Manu Samhita, like Prabhupada generally speaks about depending on the training a person becomes a Brahmana or a Kshatriya. But even in the Bhagavatam, the stories, the king's son becomes a king, and then there are some discrepancies when there is a clash among the orders and all that. So, like, how do we see those aspects of Manusmriti where the seminal birth is given some way?
Oh, I'm not sure that you can make the claim that Manusmriti is teaching caste by birth. I would like to see the shlokas in question. That's one thing. But as far as the general convention that the son of a Brahmin will also be a Brahmin, that's only natural, because karmana daivanetrena jantur dehopapatiye. By our karma, we're placed in a particular womb. If we're in sattva guna, we'll take birth in a sattvic womb. If we're in raja guna, we'll take birth in a rajas. I mean, everyone has their minute independence. But it's not surprising that it normally happens like that. And even in the professional world, we see, in many cases, when the father is say, an expert musician, the son also becomes an expert musician. Just like Ajamil's son. He's also a very good musician. So that's only natural, but of course there can be exceptions to that. That's what we have to recognize. And Krishna himself earlier in Bhagavad Gita tells us that it's on the basis of guna and karma, not janma. Is that clear? Now, since you brought it up, we're stopping here at text number 39, but in the immediately following verses, Krishna introduces this very subject. Since we're talking about the three modes of material nature, he says even these different varnas, they're all conditioned by these modes. And he gives the characteristics of each. The Brahmana should be sattvic, the king is more rajasic, the Vaishyas and Shudras are mixed. You see? Is that okay? It's a big topic, but I think that's maybe helpful. Okay, we'll stop now. It's getting late. Thank you very much. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
I will, yes. But tomorrow, nobody has to go work. For me, no problem. Bol Nitaya Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Balaman. Hero. Jai Shri Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All the musicians come closer, first play. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sing also, okay? Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Double. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Sadhu, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Bolo bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Bol. Hey, you guys come here. Hare Rama, Rama. Ha 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 ha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, follow. Good, good. Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hey Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Bolun Nitai Gaura Premanande. Those who are sitting, Mata, you can stand little bit dance for Krishna, okay? We're going back to Vrindavan. Okay? So, what is the Vrindavan? Bhagavan Krishna is there, Rasa dance going on. All the gopis are very happy. Okay? Please. Ha! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Aha! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, ha ha ha, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, ha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh ho, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Jai Radhe, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, oh.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Aha. Hare Krishna, Radha, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Open, open. Oh, Hare. Hey, hey, hey. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Aha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Radha 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 Radha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
double. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hey Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hey Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hey Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama,
Hey Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hey Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hello, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Bolo Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bolo Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari So now you all can sit little bit, rest, but I'm going to tell you one pastime, okay? In Vrindavan, little Krishna, right? He always steal butter, right? Little hand, little guy, but always doing something naughty stuff. So Mother Jasoda asked, his whole face full of butter. So he came, all the village girls, they complained that Krishna come, do all kind of, he break the pot, he take the butter. Okay, butter take no problem, but even he mischief, destroy the whole house with the monkeys, this is unbearable. So they all complain. So Mother Jasoda and Krishna is walking, full of butter in his hand, in her face. So Mother Jasoda asking, Krishna, did you steal butter? He said, no, who told you? Who told you? It is feedback, no? Why it is feedback? So he said, how Mother Jasoda asked, Hare Krishna, very, very sweet way. Because Krishna is very sweet, right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Krishna, did you steal butter? Okay. So Krishna said, who told? But whole face full of butter, and he's telling, I never, can you imagine, I'm so little boy. How can you believe that I steal butter? How Krishna answered? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Mother, who told you? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. See, Bengal folk music is very unique. Unfortunately, this tradition, in Bengal still it is there, but specifically it's a Gaudiya style of music. This is the Gaudiya style of music. In our society, not very, very prominent, because too much, so many kirtan going on. It's nice to have many varieties, Western style, many different style, many movie, film songs also been chanted in Mahamantra. I don't mind. Mahamantra you can chant anyway. Only my objection would be, why you giving up the Gaudiya style of kirtan? Once you come to sing Gaudiya style of kirtan, they think I'm a foreigner. Very surprised. They don't know how to play mridanga, they also don't know how to sing. But as soon as they sing Western style, movie style, they are all equipped. That's like they're singing this. Hindu Prabhu sing. This melody I used to sing in 80s here. It is the one from movie. Chapabone, Oli Shone, Ego Madhuri, Bitikamini, Dharadite, Bitikamini, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is from one Bengali movie songs, okay? And it became very famous because it is a good melody. So I don't have that objection. Only my sorrow is that as soon as I go to sing Gaudiya style of kirtan, everybody thinks this guy is somebody from foreign, So this is the Gaudiya style kirtan very unique. We need to preserve in our society. We follow Gaudiya Sampradaya. So then Krishna said, how? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Who said that I steal butter? Then Mother Jasoda get mad. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So sing that melody, okay? Hare. I'm sure you all familiar with this melody. It is in one of my CD called Kalpa Vriksha. That is my first album, Prabhupada Self-Dealers, 1996. Hare Krishna.
And by the way, please pick up your copy today.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare. Now Krishna answer. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Double. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, hey, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. ऐसे रखो, don't change. No. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, hey, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Hey Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hey bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Balama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This is a rhythm little different, totally different. But play like this. Da 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 da. Actually it's chapra tal. But anyway, play. No. Play that. Ding taki ta ding taki. Play that. At least you can play that. अब ऐसा करो, चेंज मत करो, ऐसा रखो, ठीक है? हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Who said Krishna's name is not sweet? Krishna's name is so sweet. Really. Krishna's name is very sweet. Very sweet. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Rama Rama
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Oh Rama Rama
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Jai Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hello, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. নিতাই গৌর প্রেমানন্দে হরি হরি বলমান বল নিতাই গৌর প্রেমানন্দে হরি হরি বল নিতাই গৌর প্রেমানন্দে হরি হরি বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ হরি হরি বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ গৌর হরি বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ গৌর হরি আহা বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ জয় গৌর হরি নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ জয় গৌর হরি বল গৌর হরি জয় গৌর হরি বল গৌর হরি জয় গৌর হরি হরি জয় গৌর হরি বল নিতাই গৌরাঙ্গ জয় গৌর হরি বল পতিত পাবন দয়াল গৌর হরি চৈতন্য মহাপুরুষ so merciful, পতিত পাবন দয়াল গৌর হরি. You know, Lord Krishna has many avatars, right? Every avatar, if you see, Krishna came to kill everybody. Every avatar, he just killing. That's it. Then Krishna thought, oh, I'm tired of killing. So I don't want to kill anymore. I want to give love of Godhead. That's it. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, just to give love, no killing. That's why called Gaura Hari, Patita Pavana. Bolo Patita Pavana Dayal Gaur Hari. Patita Pavana Dayal Gaur Hari. Gaur Hari Jaya Gaur Hari Gaur Hari Jaya Gaur Hari Gaur Hari Gaur Hari Patita Pavana Dayal Gaur Hari. Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Gaur Hari. Bolo Nitai Gaurango Jaya Gaur Hari. Patita বন দয়াল গৌর হরি বল পতিত পাবন দয়াল গৌর হরি পতিত পাবন দয়াল গৌর হরি নিতায় গৌরাঙ্গ জয় গৌর হরি নিতায় গৌরাঙ্গ জয় গৌর হরি হরি বল গৌর হরি হরি বল বলো হরি বল গৌর হরি হরি বল বলো হরি বল গৌর প্রেমানন্দ বল গৌর প্রেমানন্দ বল হরি বল গৌর নিত্যানন্দ বল বলো হরি বল গৌর প্রেমানন্দ বল হরি বল হরি বল নিতাই গো হরি বল হরি বল So, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu moment is very sweet. Why so sweet? Anybody can explain?
Because we have wonderful singers like you.
No. Prabhu, you will explain. Why it was sweet, Prabhu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's moment?
Because the holy name of the Lord is the cause of all transcendental ecstasy. And when you taste that ecstasy, you become completely crazy with love for Krishna. And Krishna is the sweetest of all. He is Madhur. There's nothing bitter about him. Everything about him is sweet. It's like gold. Every part of the gold is precious. And anything in relationship with Krishna and his holy name is precious and sweet.
And also, in Krishna consciousness movement, honestly, truly, you have a lot of problem in the job, in the family, work, finance, whatever. You just come and sit in the kirtan and see. You will never think nothing. Take away everything. You become like a light person. Nothing is there, God. That is the power of Krishna's holy name in the age of Kali. That's the purpose to chant and dance in ecstasy and take prasadam. That's it. You don't think nothing in the world. So all these mental people in this world, instead of taking medication, they come in the kirtan, mental disease cure, because they will not think nothing. Mental means so many things in the head, To how to forget? Just join in kirtan, that's it. This kirtan movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu movement is very powerful. Just by chanting, that's it. Kirtan. Congregational chanting is very, very powerful. Your sadhana, chanting 16 round, different subject. But congregation chanting is very powerful. And that's why it's only joy, only happiness. So this, all the happiness, behind this, all this happiness, there's the one person is the cause of all happiness. Who is this person? Srila Prabhupada. That's it. Can you imagine? I'm from India. By birth, I know Krishna. You can ask any Indian guy, oh yeah, I know Krishna. Really, do you really know Krishna? Really, ask you. Knowing Krishna means you live with Krishna joyfully all the time. You'll be crazy. Knowing Krishna means it cannot be family affairs in your life. You'll be addicted. It's like an intoxication. That means you know Krishna. In Hare Krishna movement, many people are not materialistic. They have a job, education, but look at this. For Krishna, they're like a crazy, dancing, chanting, running like a crazy. Last night, Prabhuji came back, 2 o'clock morning. This Prabhuji, I was waiting, 1:30 was in the home, They're all professional people. Are there professional people also outside? Are they do that? No. That is called loving Krishna. Okay? So it's not that I know Krishna. You may know somebody's name, that doesn't make you fall in love with the person. Until you know the personality, how he is, what is his quality, what is his qualification, how his behavior, then you fall in love with the person. So Srila Prabhupada bring who is Krishna is. He make us understand what Krishna is. And as soon as we understand, we fall in love with the person, like Krishna. So please glorify Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada, Jaya 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 Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki! Thank you very much. And all the musicians like Amina. I always say her Amina. Amina, thank you very much. Thank you. And her mother. Oh, I forgot your name. Krishna Prasthaya, Devidasi, and father and grandfather. Hari Vilas Prabhu. I love this, this ding da ding dang ding da ding dang ding. That's very good, this is unique music for the Bengali folks, okay? And the Prabhuji, Arun Prabhu, I like his tilak, permanent. This tilak remind me very good. In South India, you go to Dhoti, look very saintly people walking on the road, Honestly. Of course. That's why I mentioned, this is. I know. Hari Bhakti always talking. It's like taking tea all day, Prabhuji, Prabhuji, Arun Prabhuji, Arun Prabhuji. Huh? Krishna has a plan, maybe one day, sure. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. It's such a nice community, you know. I travel by Krishna's mercy many places. 19, now will be 21 country I travel already by Krishna, you know. This place is very special. That's it. That's it. And that's why I thought I'll come here. I didn't, many other places also they invited me, you know. Yeah.
Prabhuji is coming back for Gaur Purnima.
Thank you.
At least 10 days. 10 days
10.
continual kirtan.
Yes, non-stop kirtan. Yeah.
And then when we open a new temple, he's going to make this his home. We're going to open a temple for Balaji and Krishna and a temple of music. Gaudiya style.